Welcome to Lead Full Circle. Does this calendar here, does this reflect your week, your day, where you're just busy all the time? And when you look back at the week, you're like, man, what did I even really get accomplished this week because of this right here? So that's what we're going to look at today and talk through with episode 8. If everything is a priority, then nothing really is. For me, this past week, I actually had to struggle with this. And I really try to pride myself in getting in classrooms and getting in the hallways at my job at our school as a principal. That's important to me, to be very visible. But there was one day this week that I really struggled with that. I felt like emails were adding up. I felt like my to-do list was continuing to stack on and add on. Even though I was checking one off, I felt 3 or 4 more were added on each time I checked one off. So I just had to stop in the middle of the day one day this past week and just stop what I was doing, stop looking at email, stop looking at my to-do list, and just go and get in classrooms and get out in the halls, because that's important. But it's hard to do sometimes, to let go of those things that really, at the end of the day, they matter, but you could do them later at a different time. You don't have to do them right there in the moment. So that's really our focus today in episode 8. And one thing I want to emphasize here, a statement I think is very important. A lot of times we get being busy versus being productive, we get those confused. There's a huge difference. So have you ever been confused in being busy versus being productive? So I want to give you 3 truths today about keeping your priorities in order as a leader. And I believe these truths will help you lead well at work, but even better at home. But before we get started with these 3 truths, I want to please subscribe, comment, and like on my YouTube channel. And also a reminder of leadfullcircle.net. This is where you can find all YouTube episodes and many more valuable resources as we grow this platform that focuses on leadership at work, but even better at home. So let's now continue with those 3 truths about keeping priorities in order. So the first truth: priorities require you to say no. That's so important. And every yes, as it says here, is really a no to something else. Because I believe in doing everything 100%. And if I know I can't give something or someone, a committee, a group, whatever it may be, 100%, then I can't say yes to that. And this is one area that I'm proud that I've never really struggled in. And I was listening to somebody the other day. They made such a good point. When someone comes to you with a task or a decision that you've got to make about this or that, if you have any hesitation at first, then more than likely you need to say no to that, because there's a reason for you to be hesitant about that particular issue. Also, when it comes to saying no, for me, when I think about work, are you being pulled in 10 different directions? Do you need to start saying no to a certain committee, to a certain responsibility that you don't have to do, but it's just another opportunity to do this or do that? I really do think at times people can get pulled in a million different directions. And before long, you're wearing yourself out and you're not giving it your all in certain areas. You're just giving it 50%. You don't want to be average at what you do. You've got to be great in every aspect of your life. And if you're getting pulled in 100 different directions, it's hard to do that. So you've got to learn to say no at work when you can. Also at home, you've got to know when to cut things off when you get home. You've got to know when to say, no, I can't check those emails late at night. I need to be spending time with my family. No, I don't need to make that phone call. That can wait till the morning. You know, what are some things at your home within your family that you can say no to that will allow you to be more present when you're home? That's so important. And I also think leaders are respected more at times, I believe, when they say no instead of saying yes to every single thing, because we have to prioritize the important aspects of whatever we're doing as a leader and not just say yes to everything, because you can get too many things going on. And as a leader, if you get stretched too thin, your focus is not going to be where it needs to be. I also think you have to know, maybe you're presenting an opportunity, but you have to know the difference in a good opportunity, but the right opportunity. So you may have to turn down or say no to a really good opportunity, because it was not the right opportunity. So how do you know that? How do you come to that realization of good versus right opportunity and saying no to those things? For me, first thing I try to do is pray about it. Go to the Lord in prayer and I turn it over to him. And when I had to make a really big decision here recently or in the past, there's a sense of peace that comes about you, for me at least. And if there's just the sense of confidence in the decision that I was making. The Lord was behind me in that decision. That was so important moving forward, that I knew I took it to God in prayer. I trusted God's will to be done in that situation. And I moved forward, and I had a sense of peace about it and a confidence about the decision that I was making. So I think that's so important for me, and hopefully for you. You've got to go to God in prayer in every decision you make. I think this is a great illustration when you look at this jar. You know, you see the rocks here. Those are your priorities. Those are your main priorities you need to be focused on. But the sand is everything else that you're letting add up. So if you let the sand add up and fill up your jar, before you know it, you're not going to have a lot of rocks in that jar. Your main priority is going to be left out because you've let everything else, all these other small distractions, come in and take your focus off what it really needs to be. So you've got to say no to certain things so you can keep focused on what the main priorities are that you're working through and trying to get accomplished. So the second truth is priorities should align with your values. And people catch your priorities by watching what you do, not what you say. So this past year, I've tried to start doing something and being more intentional about it. And I hate to say I'm just now doing it this year. I should have been doing it my entire time as an administrator. But I've been preaching to our students every day for the past few years at Elkmont High School. They've got to, I really want to see them take pride in our school in every aspect. And that's, to me, keeping it clean, picking up after yourself, just the little things. That is a part of taking pride in our school. But I want them to see me as a principal doing it also, not just talking about it. So I've really made a point this year in the cafeteria, after every lunch wave, after every group of students comes through and eats their lunch and get ready to clean up and go on to class and then getting ready for the next group to come in, I'm in there with them, cleaning, wiping tables, sweeping the floor. I just want them to see me doing it, see me taking pride in it. So hopefully that can become contagious for them. And they really build a sense of pride in our school. So again, it's so important that those we work with, those we live with, they see us taking pride or having a priority in those values we preach and talk about. When you talk about your home life, you know, you may say all the time, family is number one. Family is my top priority. Well, if that's the truth, why don't they ever see you? So does that align with your value of your family being a priority? If you're never there with them, if you're never present with them, then we need to look at, are there adjustments we need to make within our schedule, our day-to-day, week-to-week schedule? Are there things I can adjust in my calendar to where I can make my family a priority? It's a question that ties into that. If you looked at your calendar right now, if I looked at my calendar right now, what would your 3 priorities look like? If you pulled it straight from your calendar, what would your priorities look like? And now the third truth is this: priorities demand consistency, not perfection. You don't have to be perfect to be a leader, but you need to try to be consistent in your day-to-day, week-to-week approach. And you win in this area when you choose the important things over what may seem urgent. And for me, I've working at home with Caroline, you know, for me personally, I believe when you get up in the mornings, you should start with your Bible study. You should start with your prayer life, and then you move from there. For me, it's working out and those type of things. And that may be another lesson for another day. How you start your day is so important. So when I say that, though, I have not been a good example for Caroline in that area of my life. What we've been trying to do, and it's very inconsistent, is before bed, we may have a journal entry. We may read a small devotion. We may have a prayer time, but I've been very inconsistent with that late at night, because late at night, you're tired, you're ready to get to sleep, things come up. It's just, your day may be thrown for a different loop for whatever reason, but at night, to me, for our family, I think it's harder to be consistent in what matters most. So what I just started this probably a few days ago, this past week. But when I get Caroline up in the mornings, right after she gets dressed for school, we sit down and now we go through a small devotion and we have a prayer time together before we go out to work and school. And I've found that to be so rewarding. I love that time with Caroline, but most importantly, what I'm trying to set and establish with Caroline is the importance of your morning routine and how to properly get the day started. I'm a big believer in how you get the day started. And I believe that day should always be started with God first, in your prayer life with God. Because I started thinking about it, if I'm doing it and it's important to me, why am I not doing it with my daughter? And starting to show her how to do those things early in life. And maybe it will stick with her as she gets older. So I just started that. I would encourage all parents to do that with their kids. Man, make the morning your time with her, and start showing him and your kids, start showing them the importance of prayer and studying your Bible every morning when you first get up. If you're doing it, awesome. But if you do it with them, that's even better. And it's so rewarding. It just sets your day up for success, and you can reflect on that throughout the day, and it helps you remember what's really important as a parent raising up your child. And here's another tip for this. If you miss a day, don't get discouraged. Reset your focus, recenter it on where it needs to be, and start it again. Don't get so discouraged because you've missed a few days here and there. It's not working. I'm just not going to do it anymore. Reset your focus, get your mind right, and continue to do those little things with your kids that over time, I believe, will make a huge, huge difference. At work, just a little bit, when you talk about consistency, I believe in being prepared. I believe in being organized. And when you have meetings, when you have presentations, whatever it may be, if you're not consistently prepared for the day or consistently prepared for meetings, I think that can start to create a culture issue, because people may not trust you as much in that certain position. So are you consistently prepared each day for what is a priority, for the important things going on at work? Are you ready every day? So a question to ask yourself, what's one thing, one area in your life, work or home, that you need to make an adjustment to be more consistent on those priorities? You don't have to be perfect, but you need to be consistent. And consistency over time, that is what builds trust. And trust is so important to have that piece there as a leader as you start to build and create a dynamic culture. So I'm going to end with this. Application. How do we truly apply this at work and our home? So at work, one quick statement. If you're chasing everything, your team will never know what directions to run to. And then at home, they need to know that even in your busyness, they're not competing with the world for your attention. Here's a very important question to reflect on. Do the people you value, do they feel like they're at the top of your priority list or the bottom of your priority list? How would they answer that question? I think that's something to really think about as we close episode 8. I would really like to encourage everybody to go to patreon.com as we explore even more true application of keeping your priorities in order, work versus home. So please go to patreon.com as we get ready to close this session. You'll find even more important, detailed, thorough advice about true application as we look at priorities. If everything is a priority, nothing is. So again, thank you for tuning in and listening and watching this episode. I really hope this can help you keep your priorities in order. And remember, if everything is a priority, nothing is. Continue to subscribe, like, and comment on my YouTube channel. Continue to go to my website, leadfullcircle.net. And saying that, I'll say this: lead well at work, but even better at home. And I'll see you next time.